Wouldn't it be wonderful to have the sunshine give you all of your necessary vitamin D? Despite living in the sunshine state though, I see a lot of vitamin D deficiency, and there are so many reasons for it. I mean, traveling in the car in the sunshine is still not getting you enough vitamin D because it's through the doors. The fact that as you get older, you don't have as much vitamin D converted to active vitamin D, because ultimately the sunshine has to come to your skin, has to activate it in your gut. But now if you don't do a good job of absorbing dietary fat, and vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, then you also will not get enough vitamin D. Or maybe it's the fact that we're slathering sunscreen and sunblock all over us and protecting us from skin cancer, but unfortunately we're not getting enough vitamin D. But we can still get it from good sources in our diet. Let's talk about that. When it comes to the world of vitamin D, our minds often just default to dairy, fish, or even supplements. And there's nothing wrong with any of these, but there's so many other discoverable sources that we should really think about. And some of them are kind of surprising, actually. Those that are looking for more plant-based options, there are 5 of them that you can still discover. One of them is fortified orange juice. Now remember, I said fortified. So yes, you could eat oranges and that's wonderful, but when you buy orange juice, it actually should say fortified with vitamin D. And that is a fair amount of vitamin D. For just 8 ounces of fortified orange juice, you're going to get 100 IUs, or international units of vitamin D, which is equivalent to a glass of milk. So we talk about IUs here, international units, and it's the same as a glass of milk. Ready to eat cereal. I know I've talked about this as an ultra-processed food, and yet people still love it and eat it, and that's fine. But if you're eating it, check the nutrition, because you can get up to 40 international units of vitamin D in a serving of the cereal sometimes. For example, this doesn't have any. And yet this generic version of toasted oats actually has about 15% of the daily value. So it depends on the cereal and which one you're eating, but a good place to check for vitamin D. Mushrooms, especially sun-exposed mushrooms. These are really interesting. Not the kind that were cultivated in a dark room somewhere. Those may not have enough vitamin D in it, but the ones that are kind of wild mushrooms outgrowing, and those can have up to 900 international units in 3 ounces. That's a lot of vitamin D. Mushrooms contain ergosterol, which is a precursor to vitamin D, and it's a very unique and interesting form of nutrition for vitamin D in a vegetable source. A cup of maitake mushrooms can have almost 800 international units of vitamin D. For those that prefer to avoid butter or oil and like margarine, actually 1 tablespoon of margarine can give you 60 international units of vitamin D. Not bad. Tofu. Not all tofu is created equal. Actually, some varieties, like this tofu, doesn't have any vitamin D. I mean, I'm glad it has 8 grams of protein, but there's no vitamin D in it. However, some other forms, you have to look at the fortified tofu. For example, Nasoya light silken tofu that has up to 140 international units in 18 grams. And as a bonus, don't forget milk. I'm not talking about cow's milk, we know that that has vitamin D in it, but even plant-based milks. So you have to look at the different individual contents. But something like pea milk can give you 15% of your daily value, and almond milk, which is very popular nowadays, can give you even 13% of your daily value. So there are so many other discoverable sources of vitamin D that you can choose from. So whether you're lactose intolerant or vegan, or just looking for other sources of vitamin D aside from supplements, take a look at some of these other sources that you can incorporate into your diet for optimal health.